shorter one yesterday, and it was a good practice. It wasn't as sharp as the first two. This one, the guys came back, and I thought they were really, really sharp. I thought they competed till the end. I thought the tempo was good. The offense looked sharp and crisp. I was really pleased with today.
What are you seeing early out of the old guys that you have? Some of them were not there for you in the spring, and now you've got everybody. What is that dynamic like with those 6-year guys?
Yeah, I think those older guys, as you can imagine, providing a lot of leadership. But I think the main thing I see globally across the team, not just offense, not just defense, not just special teams, is the willingness to do things right by everybody, and that starts at the top. And I think those freshmen right now are getting a little, baptism by fire, and they don't know any other way. They know those old guys do things right. They know those old guys demand them to do things right, and it's rubbing off on them. And I think that's the biggest thing I see through 3 practices so far, or 4.
Do you need any freshmen to play this year for you? Do you have the luxury of letting each one of them develop?
It's college football, so you never want to say, oh, this guy's coming in, he's going to be our guy, because you don't know. They're freshmen. You don't want to say this guy's going to redshirt because you don't know. I've been impressed with some of the freshmen we have so far, and if one of them's good enough to play, whether that's rotationally or getting in the starting lineup, I'm all for it. With those 4 games they can play, I definitely think we need to play some to play, especially on special teams. But I'm not opposed to some of those guys getting some reps and competing for a starting job right now.
Which freshman about Nick Henrich, one of the guys in the mix? Linebacker, how he's playing?
Yeah, Nick, I thought through the spring, I thought Nick played as well as anybody on the football team. And so far through 4 practices, he's continued on that path. He's got competition. That room is pretty tight. You got those 4 guys at the top right now. You got Nick, and you got Luke, and you got Garrett Snodgrass, and you got Chris Kolarvik. And then you got some freshmen, some young guys pushing them from behind. So that competition is really, really high. And I think that's really, really good to have that competition, because even if those guys separate themselves, they know they can't stop. But Nick's done a really good job so far.
With the collection of guys you have at outside linebacker and defensive line, I know you played a lot of different fronts and stuff last year, but do you feel like there's another level of mixing and matching or creativity that you can get to with the collection of experience you have too?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an opportunity to be very multiple, if you will. That's a term media likes, I think, multiple. But an opportunity to play some 3-man fronts, some 4-man fronts, even some true 5-man fronts, and then get really creative in pass rush situations, because some of those interior guys can rush the edge, and some of those outside guys can rush. They can speed rush an inside guard and those type of things. So I think it does give you a little bit of flexibility in there. But the biggest thing about that group is they all understand what we've tried to get done. They've all been through the rigmarole for a while, and they're doing a really good job of making plays that they're supposed to make right now.
Trying to get more pressure on a quarterback? Everyone wants to get more pressure.
Got to get more pressure.
Does it come down to, can you scheme more pressure, or is it about at some point guys winning one-on-one?
Yeah, I think it's both. To be honest with you, I looked at just about all the sacks in the Big Ten last year from every team, and it's not like it was 80% 4-man rush and 20% 5 or more. It's pretty even, maybe a little more tilted towards the 5 or more. So I think you got to be able to scheme some pressure. You got to find a way to get guys home. And then when we rush 4 or we rush 3, somebody's just got to have the will to win. When you rush 4, one guy's getting double teamed, 3 guys got to go one-on-one. Somebody's got to go win that battle. And I think you can affect the quarterback in many different ways, right? You can sack the quarterback. You can tip a ball down to the line of scrimmage, or you can just pressure a throw and make him throw it away, or you can collapse the pocket and make him throw it out of the well. But however that happens, we have to find a way to affect the quarterback.
When you have so many guys on this defense that have been in now for years, how different is this fall camp maybe compared to previous years in class?
Yeah, it's actually been really fun for me. There's still some freshmen that have to get taught the basics, but a lot of the meetings, a lot of the installs, we're talking about real football. We're talking about situations. We're talking about technique. We're talking about detail, instead of, okay, we're putting in the defense, here's your job, here's what you do, let's go play football. When we get through that, we've got to really detail things, and we've got to talk about just overall global football knowledge, football formations, football plays, and I think that's really helped the guys, the older guys especially, move their game to the next level.
For your
Within our group of guys, I think that D-line guys did a really good job last year. I think those outside backer, that room grew a lot last year, and they're continuing to go. And then these young inside backers, obviously a lot of growth happened there because you lost Colin Miller to a terrible, terrible deal, and then we lost Will at the end. And those guys have really had to step up not only their football acumen but also their leadership because they've become the guys in that room now. And so I think probably as good as the DBs are, as good as the front is, I think that inside backer room has probably grown the most.
When you look at some of your young D linemen coming up the ranks, you see guy in California brought in, obviously Buckley. How promising does that young group look just when you see them in person?
I mean, if you look at those two, I think it was Jalen's birthday yesterday, so he just turned 18. You look at him and Rue, you don't look at 18-year-olds. They look like grown men. Now, you got to remember they're still 18-year-olds, and they still got a long ways to go, and they got to learn the game, and they got to learn how to do things. But just their sheer ability and their sheer size is pretty impressive, and so I think that's very promising as you move down into the future.
Can Weaver play nose, or is he going to be just the end for you guys?
Oh, I think Jalen's going to probably start off playing both inside positions, nose and D tackle, and then we'll see where we go from there.
With Isaac Gifford and Jamin Wright, do those guys have set positions? Are they, or do you just allow them to maybe develop in a couple of different spots, do different things?
Yeah, to be honest with you, that nickel spot, JoJo is kind of his own entity because he was a safe. I like to have at that position, you'd like to have a DB and pull him into there, right, for cover reasons. JoJo kind of grew his way out of DB, if you will, so we kind of created that position a little bit for him. Isaac and Javen are getting a lot of teaching and reps at both safety and nickel, so they can kind of be intertwined into that mix if we need a few guys, if we need some experience as we move into the future. But as we go into the future, it'll be, you want a safety or a corner to move in there, and then he can be able to go back and forth if we need to.
So the way either of those guys might play that spot in the future is probably a little bit different than the way JoJo plays it now.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I mean, I think we've got the package down. We asked JoJo to do some not ordinary things for that position just because of his size and strength, and we can leave him in there in base defense. As we move forward in that nickel package, I think we've got it tailored down so we can use the skill set of a DB. JoJo's got the movement skills of a DB, so he can do it. Normally, however you want to do it, when we were at UCF, we had two corners and two safeties. When we went to nickel, we brought the nickel in to play the slot and a third the corner in to play the slot, a third corner to play the field. That might happen. It might be a safety. And I think depending on the skill set of those guys, you're going to tailor your calls a little bit more towards them, but you still got to be able to make them real and bring them off the edge and do some of the things that JoJo does.
The early impressions of Tyree Johnson, now that you've had him for 4 practices, and kind of what you have to work with there?
Yeah, Tyreek's done a nice job. Coming out of into a new program, learning a new scheme, you can definitely see in one-on-ones and those types of things the elite movement skills that he has that made him the 5-star recruit. Once he gets more comfortable with the guys and in the scheme, I think he's going to be a really, really valuable asset to our football team.
With so many guys back, do you feel like you're in a different spot 4 days into camp this year than the previous years?
Yeah, that's kind of what we were alluding to earlier. I feel like it's we're not in general math anymore. We're like in whatever you guys took. I took like general math 1 and 2. You guys like calculus or whatever, right? We're there. So we're getting these formulas figured out instead of figuring out 2 + 2, and it's really nice. It's almost, you get to the install with the older guys, they're almost kind of like, seriously, we going to install this again? And you have to do it for the rookies and those types of things, but it just feels different. It doesn't feel like it's Groundhog Day, like we're starting over every single day, like something it has in the past when you're putting in a new system and you're getting new players and those types of things. It feels like we've already got the groundwork laid. Now we're putting on the trim and the shingles and the details, and that's a good feeling for me.
Going back a little bit, I'll test your memory. I feel like part of Tony and Tuioti ending up here was a connection that you had, right? Can you maybe talk a little bit about just how he got here? And I know it's been a while now, but how well he's integrated in with the staff to sort of put his mark on what's now going to be a veteran group.
Yeah, I think anytime you lose a assistant coach, what happens in this game, just like any other sport, I believe in college football, is you have guys that call you and say, hey, this is a really good guy. And sometimes you don't know the guy very well and you don't pay much attention, and other times you do. And Jerry Azanero, who's the D coordinator at UCLA, we were together at Oregon and Philadelphia Eagles, called and said, Tony's the guy. He knows how he can teach him how you want him to be taught. He knows I taught him. He knows what the system is. He knows how to get it done. It's not going to be a tough transition. Then we interviewed Tony, and he did an outstanding job in that interview. So the transition was very, very easy, and I'm super, super glad that he's here. He's made a really big difference on the football team.
You guys have pads today?
Half pads, yeah. I think I don't even want to say what the new rules are from the NCAA, but I know there's a couple days in helmets and then a couple days in half pads. I'm not sure when they let us put the full. I'm like one day at a time. I look at the schedule the next day, and when it says full pads, I know we're in full pads. But I see the guys are in half pads right now. I know the NCAA's got new rules about exactly when we have to be in what gear at the beginning and throughout camp. So I think the first full pads is tomorrow, maybe the following day, one of those two.
Chris, how's your first fall camp going?
It's really good. I got here in the spring, got a feel for the playbook, so now it's just getting more comfortable within it, getting more comfortable in the defense, understanding my fits, and really just flying to the ball, getting faster every day, getting quicker with my reads every day, just making my checks quicker every day, so I feel good about it.
How do you feel you've kind of fit in with this linebacker group specifically?
I feel great about it. These guys, I love these guys, every one of them. I hang out with them outside of football. Those are the kind of guys I hang out with a lot. So, they're awesome guys. They help me a lot learn the playbook. So it's cool to just have that camaraderie around and, be with those guys every day. So.
Can you tell that you kind of walked into a defense that is experienced and older?
Absolutely. That was, I think, a really important part of me learning the defense so quickly was that all these guys around me knew it really well. So if I didn't know what I was doing, I could just go, hey, what do I do here? Or I could just ask, any Nick, Luke, Snaz, JoJo, any of those guys, the DBs, the D linemen, any of them, I could just ask them because they've all been here. They've all been here at least a couple of years, so they understand, the expectation and the playbook. So I could just go ask them if I needed any help, and they kind of pushed me along and pushed me to be better. So it was really awesome, and it's been really cool to see everybody's flying around. Everybody understands their job. Everybody understands the expectation. So yeah, definitely a veteran group.
What's the biggest jump you guys have seen from this unit from the spring to now?
Honestly, I think it's just being quicker with our checks. I think it's just being quicker with our assignments. We know what we're doing. We understand the playbook, but I think it's just being that little step quicker, understanding a little step quicker, and we're just going to keep continuing to get a little better every day with that.
What do you kind of see Garrett just kind of playing alongside them?
They've been awesome. They've obviously played a lot of snaps here. They obviously know the expectations of being a Nebraska football on defense. So, it's been cool to just be around them, and they're actually my neighbors. I hang out with them all the time outside of football, so they kind of help me with learning the playbook and understanding expectations. So it's been really cool to just hang around those guys and have them push me along and me push them. So it's been really good. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the intensity that you're seeing? I know it's early so far in camp, but is there urgency with this team to turn this thing around?
Absolutely. Everybody, we're all going out there every day. We're working. I think everybody's flying around. Everybody's doing everything they can to make plays. Just the speed of play is really fast right now. I think everybody's flying. Everybody understands their responsibility, and everybody's flying to the ball. So.
Sorry if you're asked this, but what was, after spring, what were you trying to get done in those 2 or 3 months before fall camp? You know, maybe having to play catch up to the system, I don't know.
I think I did a lot of my learning in the system was in the spring. I did it before spring ball. I studied the playbook a lot. I spent a lot of time with Coach Rude learning it, and then in the spring and during spring ball, I spent a lot of time just in the film room studying. And I spent a lot of time in the summer too. But I think the summer was more just getting my mind right for it is a long season, and you do have to play 12 to 13 to 14 games. So. It's getting your mind right, doing things to get your mind right and your body ready to play a full season. So.
Who's the loudest guys on defense?
The loudest guys?
Yeah, in a leadership sense.
I think Garrett, I think, is the most vocal, probably the most vocal guy. He's going to be the rah-rah guy that gets everybody going, which is awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome when the energy's kind of lacking a little bit. He's going to step up. He's going to be, hey, we got to get going, guys. Let's go. JoJo's been awesome as a leader. I think he's really stepped up this year and kind of figured his role out and as a leadership role. And I think he's done a good job bringing new guys along, bringing younger guys along, and kind of being a mentor to some of the younger guys and taking on that role. So, it's not just them. It's a lot of different guys, but I think everybody's done a really good job in their roles. So.
I mean, just like a new guy, and obviously the summer rivals and the transfer portal and all this stuff, how do you see this program as far as blending, the older guys blending with the guys who got here?
I actually think it's been really good. I think it's been really good. The new guys that we've gotten, I think, have just fit in really well. I know from my experience, I know Samori and I know Marquise. We all got here in January, and I feel like we kind of blended right away. We were friends with each other, and then we made friends with everybody on the team. I think we've really gelled as a unit. I think we're doing really well in that regard. I think we're really coming together as a team. I think that part of it is going really well.
Anything about the offense jump out to you so far?
They're playing fast. We're playing defensively. We're playing fast, but I think both sides of the ball. I think I'd just say the speed of play. I think has been really awesome.
When you have to keep your eye on the quarterback, what's that running component that Adrian has? How many does that give you headaches ever?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime a quarterback's going to be able to run and throw, it's going to give you a little that extra dynamic and something a little extra, because it's like having another running back out there if you have a guy that can run like that. So it's just another thing you have to keep your eye out, especially in your pass drops. You got to always keep in the back of your mind, like, oh, he could run, he could take off here at any point. So you got to kind of keep that in your mind. So definitely it's another dynamic. So.
Does it help you practice high discipline? You're going to see a ton of athletic quarterbacks.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's definitely a good thing. It's kind of a headache sometimes. It's a headache having to chase all three of those guys around, in practice. It's tough having to chase those guys around. It's a little tiring, but it's definitely a good thing. Just creating those habits. Coach Rude always talks about habits, and it's just creating those habits of always playing to the ball, always knowing that this quarterback could take off at any time. So even when you're in the drops, anytime, so he could take off. So it's important to keep that in mind for sure.
I know you've spoken before. You weren't the most highly recruited guy coming out of high school. You proved yourself in Northern Iowa. Do you feel like fuel now? This is another level, and I'm going to show I can do it here.
Yeah, there's definitely a chip on the shoulder for sure. I didn't have any FBS offers out of high school. None of them thought I was good enough to play at that level, obviously. So there's just that little chip on my shoulder. There's always going to be that little. I got to prove myself here. There's always going to be that little. They don't think I'm good enough. So there's always going to be that little. I got to prove myself. I got to wake up every day and go harder. So I just got to prove myself every day.
What did they tell you that you lacked?
I think it was a lot of just I played at a smaller school against smaller competition. I didn't play a lot my junior year. I was hurt, so I really just played my senior year. I had a good year, but I played against some smaller competition. So I had some walk-on opportunities at the FBS level, but that was really it. There's some similarities and some differences. We played We played a lot of 3-3-5 stack, which we don't play here, but we also played some even front, some 4-2-5. So, you know, there's definitely some similarities. We play run fits a little differently. Our drops are just a little different here and there, but some of the things are the same. So it's nice just to take some of those, be able to take some of those techniques from my old school and use them here, and then add some new things and be able to use both. And you know, I think it really helped having that old experience for sure. But yeah, there's definitely some new things I had to learn, but right, yeah, there's some adjustments for sure, but the old experience definitely helped me out. We do a little more carrying verticals, especially with 3 vertical or benders to the field, or the weak the boundary 2 vertical. Sometimes we had to carry that, so we have a little more pass responsibility here instead of just we were more run oriented at my old school. That's probably the biggest difference. There's some more, but that's probably the biggest difference, I think. We're getting there. I think it's going well. Yeah, I feel like I'm picking it up well. Spring was a little adjustment, but I think it's going really well. Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Thank you guys.